I'm Sebastian St. James. Diversification is for idiots, according to Mark Cuban. But who is Mark Cuban? Cuban purchased the NBA's Dallas Mavericks for $285 million. Is Mark Cuban a maverick? And what is a maverick anyway? A maverick is an unbranded range animal. Is Mark Cuban an unbranded range animal? And what is a range animal anyway? A range animal is any animal that lives and grazes in the grassy slopes of Western North America, like, for example, sheep. Is Mark Cuban an unbranded sheep? Diversification is for idiots. This is what Mark said. Is it true? We will find out. First of all, what is diversification? Well, diversification is the state of being diversified. Of course, there's nothing I prefer more than a circular definition. Not very helpful. Diversification is a risk management tool, so you being diverse helps you potentially mitigate problems down the track, and that's why you diversify. What is risk? Risk is the chance that you will go broke. Yes, you personally. If I don't want to go broke, then should I avoid all risk? Is that the best option? No, because you'll go broke. That risk is important for you, but not too much. Risk is a necessary evil. It is the cost of trying to improve yourself. It is a balancing act. It is risk versus reward. Somebody should do a video on that, explaining how risk versus reward works. Let me search for that. Found it. Fortunately, it's already been done by a charming, handsome fellow called Sebastian St. James. You can click on that video here, and I'll leave a link below. But this video is not about diversification. It's the opposite. It's about non-diversification. So we have an English term for that. It's called portfolio concentration. It's premised on the belief that diversification is the enemy of growth and that the more narrowly focused and concentrated you are, the better you will do. But is this true? Well, to a certain extent, yes. But if I don't want to lose all my money, then I should diversify my risks away, shouldn't I? Apple is the largest company in the US right now. Should I put 100% of my money into Apple? I mean, it's so huge, right? But is Apple large enough? Probably not. I've got it, the Nasdaq 100. 100 stocks, 100 times more than Apple. Surely that should be diversified enough, Well, let's take a look. Apple, a tech stock, right. Microsoft, also a tech stock. Tesla, well, they do make cars, kind of techie cars, so a tech stock. Amazon, yeah, tech stock. Alphabet or Google, yeah, it's a tech stock. Nvidia, well, they make graphics cards. So it's kind of manufacturing / tech. Meta Platforms, well, of course, that's Facebook, a tech stock. Costco, oh, good, it's not a tech stock. And Broadcom, what does Broadcom do? Well, they manufacture chips for modems for communication equipment. Yeah, once again, kind of a tech stock. So that is what the Nasdaq, the top 10 stocks by capital weighting, is made up of. Not very diversified. Shares are too risky. If one stock drops, they all tend to go down at the same time. The whole market moves up and then, yeah, it halves. I know, I should diversify into bonds as well. So now I've got stocks and I've got bonds. But in certain types of markets, bonds actually move in sync with stocks, so they're not always opposite, and therefore you cannot be as diversified as you might think. I know, I shall hold cash. Cash doesn't move, right? So cash will not be linked with stocks and bonds, so now I'm going to hold cash, stocks and bonds. But in what currency? With China on the rise, maybe they're going to take over the mantle, the biggest country from the US. Maybe I should diversify out of denominated assets in US dollars. That could be quite risky, couldn't it? So maybe I should get some British pounds, some euros, and while I'm there, some Swiss francs. But money isn't real, it's fake, it's fiat money. It's not actually backed by real gold anymore. Oh, this is terrible. Money cannot be trusted. I should have to buy some real gold. Now I'm diversified into stocks, bonds, US dollars, British pounds, euros, Swiss francs, and gold. Yeah, sounds quite safe to me. The problem is, whilst you're diversifying, this is true, some of those assets have almost got no growth potential at all. Currencies, for example, they don't in and of themselves grow because they only are relative to each other. And so over time they can go up, they can come down, but there's not inherent growth within them. So you have diversified away, you are safer for sure, but you've stripped away your growth opportunities hugely. Is that what you really want? As you can see, diversification can be the enemy of growth and often is. Let's look into this further. Imagine if you invested in the whole world, well, the stocks of it. There is, in fact, an index that will allow you to do that. Here is its performance graph from 2014. As you see, it's done very, very well. So investing in the whole world, 2 thumbs up. Let's compare that to the S&P 500. So in blue, we have the whole world index, ETF, and in green, we have, well, it's well and truly outperformed the whole world. The S&P 500, much more concentrated than the whole world, is actually winning. Concentration. A little is good. More must be better. How about I just choose one stock? Let me go for Apple. What happens if I did put all my money in Apple? Well, here's the graph. As you can see, Apple in red has done amazingly well. It has beaten the S&P 500. The S&P 500 outperforms the whole world, and Apple outperforms the S&P 500. So, concentrated portfolios for the win, right? Here is another one of my favorite stocks. It's a little unknown company called Enron. As you can see, it's going up and up and up, doing so amazingly well. So I highly recommend this stock, except, little problem happened with Enron. It totally disappeared and collapsed. So imagine if I had 100% of my money in Enron. Concentration for the win? I ask you. Okay, maybe that was a bad choice. Let's try Amazon in comparison to the S&P 500. How does it perform? Well, the S&P 500 is in red and Amazon is in blue. Once again, Amazon has outperformed the market. Proving that concentration always wins, except with Enron. Here is Wynn Resorts versus the S&P 500. Wynn is in blue. Oh, it's doing so well. Except it's not. And it's underperformed the S&P 500. This is getting a bit tricky. Concentrating all my money in one stock sometimes works and sometimes backfires. Concentrated portfolios outperform, except when they don't. It's true that concentrated portfolios can outperform the S&P 500, but you need to become a stock picker. You need to research into the stocks that you believe will outperform, not only believe, but actually will outperform the S&P 500. Unfortunately, when it comes to investing, belief is not enough. Can you choose the right stocks? Can you be a stock picker and outperform the index? Warren Buffett, one of the best investors of all time, said, "If you can identify 6 wonderful businesses, this is all the diversification you need, and you will make a lot of money." And I can guarantee that going into the 7th one, instead of putting more money in the first one, is going to be a terrible mistake. Very few people have gotten rich on their 7th best idea, but a lot of people have got rich on their best idea. That makes sense? So I would say for anyone working with normal capital who really knows the businesses they have gone into, 6 is plenty, and probably half that what I like best. I don't diversify personally. So Warren Buffett, the king of investing to some people, says that for him 6 stocks is enough. So let's untangle that a little bit. If you believe that you have deep knowledge of stocks, of shares that are going to outperform the market, so it's premised on that belief that you have, then your best idea is probably going to do best, right? And then going to your 7th, your 8th, your 9th, continuing on diversifying, according to Warren, is a waste of time. And if you can choose the best 6 stocks, then what he's saying is absolutely true. But can you choose the best 6 stocks? Or are you going to choose 6 stocks that actually end up underperforming? Maybe some will even go bust. That's a question you have to ask yourself. Owning 6 stocks is for winners, but also owning 6 stocks is for losers if you choose the wrong ones. How many stocks should you own then, if it's not 6? Well, not too many. Concentrated portfolios can outperform the market, but you need to know that you can pick the right stocks, guaranteed to get that performance, to make it worthwhile the risk of concentrating, because we know one thing for sure: the more concentrated you are, the more risk there is. But what we don't know for sure is that the more concentrated you are personally with your stock picking abilities, then the more gain there is. That part we don't know, but we do know about the risks. So if 6 is perhaps too concentrated for the average person, what's a safe amount where I am actually in a concentrated portfolio? That's my wish, but I will do a separate video covering that specific niche topic. But before you watch that, you need to understand risk versus reward, which I've done a video on, and you can watch that right now.